Welcome back to Cast Me to Hell with me, Seb.
And with me, Robbie.
And here we are on motherfucking Friday the 13th, baby.
in the spookiest of all, because it's obviously October and Friday the 13th, so it's a little 2-for-1 spooky deal for everybody out there.
So me and Rob didn't actually have anything planned for this. We even though I think I'd heard this several times about Friday the 13th, I just completely ignored it until literally on Thursday the 12th of October when Jason's, he's sharpening them tools up. He's getting them ready, baby.
He's waking up.
From his little hibernation slumber.
His little slumber.
With a hungry little belly for some death. Yeah, we weren't prepared for anything at all until literally this morning. We're just like, maybe we should throw something together in the classic fashion of Cast Me to Hell, being so prepared for everything.
Yeah, it's the best thing to do, isn't it? Let's just scramble whilst we're at work, do a little bit of planning, and then just free ball an episode to show the big guy some love.
Well, we had stuff planned for that we were going to be recording this weekend, and we're going to do stuff on Monday that would probably be released then. But yeah, now we've just decided we'll just push it all along or whatever we're doing with it.
Yeah.
So we are here, Friday the 13th, and what else can we talk about? I mean, it's not a big guess of what we're going to be discussing. No. We are going to be talking about the Friday the 13th franchise. Now, we did Friday the 13th way back, ages ago. One of our earliest episodes was a Friday the 13th big old film episode about the original Friday the 13th. And today we're going to be discussing some of our favorite films from the franchise, favorite deaths, moments, or just parts that stand out that make us love Jason Voorhees and and Pamela Voorhees and I don't remember what the guy's name is who isn't actually Jason Voorhees.
Roy, not Voorhees.
Roy, not Voorhees.
Roy something. Roy, not Voorhees.
Yeah, I don't know how often part 5 will come up in this.
I very rarely watch it, man.
No.
I mean, one of the things that I do kind of love about this franchise is like when we first became friends when we were like 14, 15, I remember you having them on DVD and I'd only watched Jason Goes to Hell. That was the only one I'd ever actually watched. I think I might have watched the first one or the second one maybe, but I hadn't really watched the series, and I remember borrowing them, the first 8 from you on DVD, and then obviously through like the COVID pandemic and all of that stuff, we were playing the Friday the 13th video game a lot with Dan and Alice and corroding that for hours in the evening. So it's an amazing franchise, and let's pull the trousers down and go straight in, man.
To be fair, but from what you just said, the Jason Goes to Hell is the only one that I'd never seen until last year. I had never watched that one, even though it was probably the most available because I think it had it didn't really have a copyright like some of the others. Like it was the bargain bin one you would see. Jason Goes to Hell was the one you would see. Like I don't know who owned the rights to it at some point, but it was one of those that just I always used to see. But no, I'd never actually got, and I had that very lucky little set that I had for years, which was a rare set anyway. But and I don't know if I'm really going to be talking much about Jason Goes to Hell because again, I thought that was pretty dog shit, to be honest. Jason is a worm boy.
It's the worm boy. It's the coolest looking Jason though, I think. But
he is
they waste that. And it's dog
he's
shit.
got a badass look, and he's got he's a worm traveling from body to body for half the film, which is just dog shit. It has a weird random. The only two cool things is that Sean S. Cunningham, who made the original, obviously came back for that one.
Yeah.
In part for that one. The only cool thing is that he basically then throws in little winks to other horror franchises. So you've got the Necronomicon that appears in that film. And you've also got obviously the ending with when he's back in normal form, you have the Freddy versus Jason tease, which then took another 10 years before it even got anywhere near completion of that idea, and Jason X stuck in the middle of it.
You've also got my boy Creighton Duke in it as well.
Oh yeah.
Fucking random. Who's kicking the show off then?
Go on. You kick it off.
Well, I'll kick it off. As always, if you enjoy the show, remember to subscribe. We're coming live from Crystal Lake, so we may not survive, which is why it's really important you hit that subscribe button and leave us a lovely review. Don't let our sacrifice go in vain. We can hear him in the bushes around us,
Nice little segue.
So I think a little segue. The film that I generally tend to actually start watching when I do a run through of the Jason films, the Friday the 13th films, is part 4, the final chapter. I think it's between this and another one for my favorites of the film, but I think it's got such a great stacked cast. You have Corey Feldman in it, and you've got Crispin Glover, and then you've got those hot twins, and you've got a bunch of other random weird people. Like there's Teddy in it, and he's just a really fucking weird guy. I think it's got quite a good setup. It's it's like a rainy night. Jason wakes up in the morgue and he starts murdering his way through. Crispin Glover's death, where he gets the corkscrew into the hand, and then he gets the meat cleaver into the face. I think it is such a beautiful kill. It's one of those ones where it's real wince-inducing, but it doesn't hang on it for so long. So you see it go in, and then you have a split second where it stops. It kind of doesn't completely cut off. It doesn't linger too long. You get a good real impact from his death.
Yeah.
One of the twins gets thrown from the window, which I think is great. And the whole thing just feels like a climax to the series. I know we obviously know they made a bunch more films, but I always think it's a really good one to kick a marathon off with. I don't know why.
It's an odd one because it's the final chapter. So you're starting your kickoff. Starting your kickoff with that. No, but you're right. The whole Tommy killing Jason, kind of, taking him down, bury him deep in the lake is such a cool thing. You got Crispin Glover's crazy ass dance.
Yeah, that's it, isn't it? He doesn't take him into the lake in this one, does he? That's a different one. This is where he's.
Oh, I thought that was the one with. Was that part 6? Oh, I thought that's what Tommy Jarvis did to him. What does he do to kill him in this one?
In this one, it's really weird. He sees sketches or posters of Jason as a young boy, and because he's really into making masks and sci-fi effects, he shaves his head, makes himself look like Jason.
Yeah, I've admitted that. Yeah.
Slaps him, smacks
the machete through the head, and his head slides down, and the mask split in half, and yeah.
And this is the start of the tease of Tommy Jarvis is going to be the the killer now. It's that he's fucking snapped.
It's because I was thinking about because it has more when he gets buried in the lake. It has the more supernatural parts to it, doesn't it?
Yeah,
and that's why I was thinking for some reason that Tommy Jarvis was the one that uses those powers to chain him down to lake, but that's a different character. I'm mixing up my characters.
Yeah. I mean, it's just super fun, man.
So what's your what was your favorite kill in that in the final chapter?
I think my favorite kill is Crispin Glover.
Yeah,
it's so brutal. It's so well done. And then after, when somebody's running through the house, you see his body kind of up against cling. I think it's tied to the doorway, but he's got knives through his hands and into the wall. It's quite a brutal moment, and obviously knowing that Crispin Glover went on into obviously being back to the Future, and do some other kind of good projects, Charlie's Angels.
These many great projects.
There's many great projects. It's quite a cool moment.
Yeah. So, the final chapter. Always a great place to start your marathon. The end.
Yeah, it's so weird.
It's not the end, obviously, because it's
so weird.
It probably is one of the first ones, though, because that's the weird thing, and that's why, as you've mentioned before on the podcast, and to me, that's why you've got that odd kind of relationship. Because yes, part 3 is technically the first with Jason in the hockey mask, but many people say that the final chapter is the first time it feels like you see the Jason Voorhees that everyone kind of really knows and loves kind of thing, that full-on Jason, that that killing zombie, whatever you want to call him, machine. Not that he's not there in the previous 3, but he's kind of evolving from not really so much in 1, but in 2 and 3, he's like evolving as this character to work out what the hell are you. And in the final chapters, when I feel like you finally properly see like the full-on, this is Jason, which is
that's
kind of mad.
Peak human Jason. It's very weird.
It's mad within the franchise because obviously you've got boy Jason, sackhead Jason, finally hockey mask Jason, but and then you finally get this version of Jason, and then we get fake Jason. Then we get Jason's really dead, and we get weird. Fake. So although part 5 gives you some like all right kills, you get that fake Jason, which then just kind of ruins the whole kind of idea for you. And he feels a bit off anyway at times.
It's just weird. He's like, there's a halfway house for like young troubled kids. My like illegitimate son's here. He gets killed and I snap. I don't know. It's fucking weird. There's a great kill in it where that person gets the belt tightened around their eyes.
Amazing kill.
But it's kind of like that's the highlight of the film for me. I often skip that one and the third one because I find the third one just drags for some reason. But I might have to watch it again.
The third one, obviously, we get the hockey masters here, but we have got some annoying characters in the third one. Shelley kind of included, obviously, is the one most people point out. But then there's also Chili, who a lot of people find is fucking annoying, and terrible line delivery, like oh my god, like some really bad bits in there, as well as the fact that it's quite distracting with the 3D kind of effect, a chance to 3D kill is just kind of really distracting. But I've kind of got a soft spot for it. I know a lot of people dislike that kind of whole effect of it, even though it is the first hockey mask Jason that we finally get. So for my one, I know where you like to start, but I'm a purist and I like to start back at the beginning. I really like the original, but I know that you're a bit more mixed on the original.
Yes, okay.
You like parts of it, but it's not your Jason. You definitely like more final chapter, part 7, Manhattan.
That's why I start the marathon.
You basically skip a bunch. You skip a bunch. But then you probably skip 5 as well. So you do like 4. And then you do 6, and then you 7, 8. No, I mean, for me, the original, and I'm not going to spend too long. As I said, you can go back and check out our episode on that one. But just for me, just as kind of thing, there are just so many iconic moments in that original that still kind of just work so well, including Harriet Manfredi's score. That first time you hear that score, that that way
really
that kid's
iconic.
It's so effective and it works so well. And obviously the one thing that does stand out though about those first 4 chapters is obviously Tom Savini's work, because there's a lot of Savini in those first few, even when he's not always as hands-on. It's all very Savini or people that work with Savini inspired kind of thing. And some of those deaths are just so iconic, one of which Kevin Bacon's death is part of why I've got my weird thing about anyone touching my neck.
You do have that.
That and the throat slashing and scream basically made it so that I never want anyone to touch my throat, because I just like, fuck. Like for me, what for you is like, I believe your eyeballs.
Eyeballs for me.
For me,
it's got
neck.
Me there, man. Eyeballs.
Eyeballs.
But
no, it's just so many. But you're doomed. All of those kind of key scenes, just for me, that is part of. It's weird because it doesn't completely feel like it's necessarily part of the same area. Almost like the original stands as its own, with it being Mrs. Voorhees and someone else. They're so detached from, say, part 4, part 3, part 4 Jason. They feel like such different kinds of. They're still slashes. They're still set in Camp Crystal Lake, but they just feel very different as films. kind of thing to me.
Yeah.
That original. There's something about, like the chasing in the woods and the way it's shot in the original that I really like is its own slasher style, but it's not the same style. That same style is not really shown, maybe a bit in part 2, but after that, it's a very different style that I feel. The original obviously is you're not seeing the killer and you're not seeing that part, but then later parts is all about Jason just coming out hanging dong, just
he
beating
just
someone to
hangs
death.
dong all the time. Yeah, like they do a bit more of the Halloween, point of view kind of thing in the first one, particularly the first kill that we get, where I can't remember her name, but she is the really like the nice hitchhiker who I was like, oh, I thought they would last longer, who ends up like running, getting dropped off early or
chase
like
through the
earlier, and
woods.
then chase
Yeah,
through the woods.
I love that. That's probably one of my favorite deaths in the film. Is that chase through the woods? That I just think it's quite a scary one because you're in the view of the killer kind of thing. That weird like staring at her in the car, then chasing her through the woods, and yeah, I think that's a really effective kill.
Yeah, and what's your favorite kill then?
My favorite kill is Kevin Bacon's. I think I just think that death like is just amazing. I love that kind of through the throat. Obviously, there's quite a few in the first one that you don't see anyway. There's quite a few of like you find them on the door or you find them hanging down. So there's not as many like shown off kills in that first one as there is in later ones. But it does make the ones that are shown, the hatchet to the face, the through the throat, all of those ones, it does make them more effective. But yeah, the Kevin Bacon one I definitely think just works as such a gory kill. But yeah, that first chase through the woods though is such amazing suspenseful kill. It's badass.
It's good,
but I just love that whole like the first time you watch it. That's why I've got such a nostalgia for it, because the first time I watched it with Mrs. Voorhees, and that whole kind of showing off to the end. I like that kind of the twist that there was like a who is it, who done it kind of thing to it in that original.
Yeah.
Let's go to your next. What's your next big banging?
The one that I think is the best in the franchise, I would probably say, is part 6, Jason Lives. I think it's got such a great opening. We do get a slight return from Corey Feldman, but obviously at this point they've tried to set up that Tommy Jarvis is going to be the killer, but they thought, nah, fuck that. We're going balls to the wall. We're bringing this dude back. And we get Tom Matthews, who was also in Return of the Living Dead, but it's kind of mostly known for Tommy Jarvis, I'd say. He's probably the definitive one as well, I think. He comes back. He's got a real cool like jacket, you got to have a cool jacket if you're like the protagonist in a film, but also you got to be prepared for the harsh weather in Crystal Lake. And yeah, you just get this really great opening scene where they bring him back by trying to make sure that he's still dead. You get like a gross kind of vision of Jason covered in worms and then hhis eyes opening when he gets electrocuted. We get an absolute class kill that I always used to do on the game where he punches through and he kind of grabs the man's heart out, which is a really good opening kill of like setting the stakes and being quite gory, but also showing the strength of this kind of like newfound Jason. And also we get like the walking Jason now. On the games the human ones could run, the dead ones kind of did the more menacing walk that Jason became known for.
He also looks got more towering in this, doesn't he? He looks huge he looks more like bulky in this film, which is crazy that we're considering like how deformed and how rotten he is. And yeah, he just looks like an absolute beast of a character.
He looks like a big hunk of meat, doesn't he? And this is CJ Graham, and then Kane Hodder took over after. Kane Hodder is the man, and is definitely the most iconic.
Absolutely.
But I think CJ Graham brings kind of like a different element to it, more like robotic zombie element, which is quite cool. He gets a good weapon as well. We get the like the lightning, the cemetery,
the rod that's kind of
rod. Yeah, we get a couple like of fun kills with that. Yeah,
it's such a cool 80s. Like this is such a 80s film as well. It is full on like 80s down to this is the one with the Alice Cooper track as well, isn't it? And it's
he's back the man in
and this has
black
got
or
the
something like
RV
that.
scene in it, which is
I fucking love
badass.
that.
Yeah,
It's got the
this one's
RV
just full
scene.
of set pieces as well. This feels like one of
Yeah,
the higher budget of the films. Like they've put a bit more
yeah.
into it, to be honest. And
It
it's got
feels like it.
loads of set pieces in it that just like make it stand out, I think, for the
Yeah,
deaths.
and they also added like a slight. It's not a. In my notes, I put that it went more like a horror comedy approach, and that's definitely not right. But it does have a bit more of like a black humor to it. You know, you get like the paintball scene, and I'm sure that there's a point where it doesn't quite get to the ridiculous levels of like the Gonk song from Dawn of the Dead or the soundtrack for the police in Last House on the Left, but you get like a weird kind of like soundtrack at one moment. And it's just, you know, it's fun characters. It's got some cool deaths. You get some, like the more I think about it, I think most of the victims have cool death. You know, there's the sheriff who gets like folded into.
That is my favorite death in this one. I love him getting snapped in two. Like you hear those bones snapping, breaking. You see the body. You know you can hear it, and plus it's because he's such an asshole character.
Yeah,
like the way he like mocks and basically fucks with Tommy Jarvis just makes you want him to like, and you're just waiting for when's he going, and he gets such an iconic kind of death for what it is. But this one really does feel like it raises it to those kind of over the top crazy Jason kills that we want to see.
Yeah, I mean, like, for my favorite kill, it's between the punching through the heart, which I think is such a good opening gambit. Yeah. Or there's a great one where it's quite like a nice, cool character, like looks out of a window and Jason grabs her, kind of like silences her, and then I think he either snaps her neck or I think he like pushes her against the cabin and just snaps her spine. I can never remember which one he does. I know that he breaks a bone, and you could do the snapping the spine on the game, and I think that's the one that she gets. It's like it's a rainy day horror film that I watch like more often than, you know, when it's rainy, I've had a shit day at work and I need to watch something like it's just fun. And then it's got a really kind of great ending, you know, where they lure him into the lake, they put the big rock on him, they drag him down, and then they end up, you know, getting the motor on the boat and kind of like cutting him up, and then it ends with the, you know, kind of seeing his body under there. And then you've got an even great thing is that somebody in an actual lake in Ohio or something like that, maybe, they actually put a statue
I've seen that
at the bottom, and it's just so cool, man.
Such a cool thing.
I think it's the best of the franchise.
I think I definitely agree. It's, you know, it definitely is the most. It's kind of what you wanted from Jason film. It is so balls to the wall. It's full on with the deaths. It's got interesting creative kills. Jason just seems like a non-stop killing machine, like he should, because he is just like a mindless kind of killing machine. You've got interesting parts of that, and I think we have discussed this one before in some scenes, but. And I think we've said before, Tommy Jarvis, you know, as a character and an iconic character, but, you know, if they return and we get another film, I'd like to see them kind of embrace the Tommy Jarvis kind of story, because I feel like he's the most iconic. He's the most iconic that we have of someone to go against Jason, isn't he? So it'd be nice to revisit or return in some way to that, I think, or, you know, legacy it, you know, cut off a film, whatever, come back to it.
I don't know if you've ever seen Never Hike Alone, but it was like a fan-made
the fan
film.
one. Yeah.
And it was all right for a fan-made film. They've made another one, and they've got Tom Matthews coming back as Tommy Jarvis.
Oh, really?
I mean, I'm not sure how they're legally getting through that. They might have just said, well, we're not actually making money on it, so
it's just a fan film we released for free.
Yeah, with fan film, we're not like benefiting from it. So maybe that's it. But I think it's releasing soon. They made Never Hike in the Snow as well, which was all right.
Oh, it might have been that one I saw. I saw the one with set in like a snowy kind of cabin kind of thing, which was pretty badass.
That's the snow one.
Yeah,
but that's what I think is the best in the franchise.
Yeah. Now I've got a kind of my race because, as I was saying, I feel like I haven't watched. Like I had the set obviously, so I have watched them, and yet I feel like I don't know those parts as well. I feel like I know part 1, 2, and 3 quite well. 4, 5, 6, 7, that like those ones. I know Jason Takes Manhattan pretty well, but yeah, there's definitely for some reason 4, 5. There's something about 4, 5, 6, 7. There's something about those ones that for some reason just seem to blank out in my mind. Don't know why. Maybe there's something about some of them that had a bit more supernatural stuff that I wasn't as into. I know I didn't really like number 5. But yeah, I've got an odd relationship with it. But what I do really love was the more modern and kind of cheesy ones. So for mine, I'm going to go with Jason X, a divisive one among many fans.
The film fucks.
I just find it in the franchise. I just find it one of the just most fun films. I just think it's just purely a fun film. Down to everything. I get it. Yeah, I love the classic iconic Jason look. But I don't mind Uber Jason. You know what I mean? I don't mind it. He's not great. I'm not saying it's amazing and it's nothing on the classic cocky look, but I don't mind it for a film. I wouldn't have wanted it to be the whole going on. I would have wanted another film where it's like, I'm Uber Jason. But for the one-off space film, which every Hellraiser, Leprechaun, we luckily they never tried to push Freddy or Michael Myers into space, and I hope they never do. But
fingers crossed.
Yeah, but it's that classic like over the top kind of film. But this film is just fun. Out of all of those space-based ones, and I've seen quite a lot of these ones. We've watched the Hellraiser, Bloodlines. Is it Blood? Yes, Blood. I've watched the Leprechaun in space, but this one is by far just the best one. Just pure entertainment and fun, not taking itself too seriously. We've got and we've got some amazing deaths. Possibly my favorite is probably the head smash. Freezing her head.
That's an iconic one.
Freezing it and then smashing it on the side. But then at the same time, the corkscrew death is pretty badass as well.
Yeah. It's filled with, fun deaths. I think.
It's got just a playfulness about it. The opening with where he thinks he's on Crystal Lake and it's all like a simulation. Where he's killing the girls, and we kind of have a revisit to a classic, fire sleeping bag kind of death, things like that. Awesome. What he's doing to him, and it's just that fun that he's just kind of stood there and he's just like thumping the hell out of them when someone else walks in, and he's just there like, what the fuck? Like Jason looks confused.
Really weirdly got David Cronenberg in it. I always thought that was really weird.
Yeah, just to be there, just as the officer in charge of the facility, just like higher. Just such random things. But again, if you compare it to where the franchise had left off with Jason Goes to Hell, and it was still a huge step up, but it was just a fun 2000s kind of movie. It was
new metal, wasn't it, man? It was like Limp Bizkit's playing. You've got you're playing hot chocolate starfish and hot dog flavored water. You've got really baggy jeans on. You're wearing like FUBU hoodies.
Yeah, baby.
You've got to fucking stick Jason X on.
Chilling out to a bit of a bit of Smash Mouth, bowling for soup and all that shit.
You've just bought some like wax for curbs so you can go skateboarding.
You've just bought your first DVD.
You just bought your first DVD, or maybe
your selection of like the 5 DVDs of like Jason X, American Pie, Evolution. That's like the ones I remember just seeing. That was your selection back then. It was like instead of like a million that will now end up in a trash landfill somewhere.
and the future is looking bright for blockbusters. You can go there on a Friday night and get a new DVD. It's going to be awesome. The world's going to be great. It's September. the 10th. You know, the world's going to be awesome. Everything's going to be fine.
What's so? You've had the final chapter. You've had part 6. What is another one that would be your must revisit if you were having to watch your next one?
I will go for my guilty pleasure, and often not thought of very fondly. And I'll breeze through it because I know we're gonna head to wrap up now. Behind the curtain. I've showed behind the curtain. Fuck it. It is Friday the 13th. Jason Takes Manhattan. It's a surprise pick because it gets shit on quite a lot, but it's got quite a fun opening. It's got a cool look from Jason. You get some cool kills, like you've got the guitar woman, you've got the sauna heated rock through the stomach. You've got my boy Julius getting his fucking head knocked off. He's getting knocked.
That one, let's be honest, that one's just completely iconic. Just the head, because it's fucking hilarious as well. It's just a funny
I love doing
scene.
that in the game as well. You know, I might stick the game in soon, man. You know, and I love doing that. Just fucking yeeting their head off.
Blasting their fucking head off.
I think the cruise. I know it's supposed to take place in Manhattan, but we don't really get that. The cruise ship's fun. It sticks to something that I really like of the time period as well. And we mentioned this when we did like New York Ripper, but everything and Nightmares in a Damaged Brain. But like the 70s and the 80s just make New York look like such a shithole, you know? There's heroin addicts everywhere. There's like barrels of toxic waste with needles floating. And it does have this,
is that the film actually barely takes place in Manhattan.
Yeah,
it's like on a boat for most of the film. Like it's like it has that weird, that I think you're about to say about the sewers. Like the weird sewer ending is a very like the fact that they pump toxic waste. Apparently that's what New York does. Pumps toxic waste into its sewage constantly.
Yeah, they just make it look like a shithole. It's really funny,
do,
because now New York, they make it look amazing, and the ending is shit. I'll concede on that. It doesn't take place as much as it should do. A fun little fact is that confusing ending. Fun little fact is that one of the scenes where Jason is in Manhattan, he ends up confronting like line cook or something like that, and that was Ken Kersinger, who later was Jason in Freddy vs. Jason, and he was also a stunt double for Jason as well, so he had some experience. That's my guilty pleasure.
Yeah, I mean, my guilty pleasure, pretty much sticking with the same thing, and this is blending them together, but probably my most watchable out of all of the films, and it's probably Freddy vs. Jason. I got to be honest. Out of all of them, I love his own films and stuff like that, but Freddy vs. Jason for both characters, I think is actually probably I actually find it's probably stronger than quite a few of both of their sequels.
Yeah,
and I think together they made such a badass. And even though Jason is a little bit in this one, a little bit of the lapdog for a lot of the film, he gets that comeuppance. But the scene, at the high school party in the middle of the cornfield, that whole cornfield death when it starts burning around him, he lobs his flaming machete straight through the back of someone's head into their chest.
It's super cool, man.
Slicing his way through, slicing people in half. It's like Jason getting to fully like go off the handle, which you don't always get to actually see as much. You get to see a lot of awesome deaths, but this one really gives you the opportunity to see him just fucking slaughtering, just destroying anything in his path. And I kind of love that he gets the opportunity to do that in this film. Kelly Rowland's death is just hilariously like bad, like good bad. You know what I mean? The way she flies across the room is like hilarious.
Absolutely done in.
But it suits the character because she kind of deserves a good smack, I think, at some point. A lot of that film could be attributed to Freddy's side. But I think it's just such a fun little, I was back and forth. I was a little bit leaning towards the remake.
I thought you would, to be honest.
But I've got I have problems with the remake, but the remake does have some amazing, kills to it. It does have some amazing parts. Rip Chewy, yeah, there you go. The horrible neck death, that one affects me. And an amazing opening in that one with both a burning sleeping bag, bear trap, slice through the head. It's got a fantastic opening. Just to touch on the remake for a moment there, but I also have a lot of problems with the whole structure of the film and how Jason is like a teleporting beast. It doesn't quite have it. It's not the strongest.
Not perfect until that. But it's good. I purposely left Freddy versus Jason off because I thought I'm sticking strictly Friday the 13th.
Yeah,
Friday but I do love that film,
Yeah, and tomorrow, I did break the rules of Friday the 13th and not go for one that's called Friday the 13th.
And for that, you shall receive 13 lashes,
13 lashes from Jason this night.
Yeah, I'm dispensing beatings. I just thought, I'm keeping it for that, but it's Friday the 13th. Obviously, I've got to watch one tonight. Usually I'd go Jason Lives, but I'm thinking maybe Freddy versus Jason for old time's sake.
A little bit of a fun. I think the reason for me, I guess, is just because it's such an easy watch. It is such an easy watch. Jason X, Jason Voorhees. To be fair, Jason Lives is a pretty banging easy watch for me as well. Yeah. They just run. They are the ones for me that are just fun. They're not bogged down by any extra kind of padding, by anyone trying to be like, let's be inventive with our story. Nah, Jason just needs to be a fucking killer machine. He just needs to be he's like a dog let off the leash and he's just fucking banging everything he can find.
It's just a horned dog.
And we return to our often known segment of talking about dogs doing different things.
This is our other podcast, Dogs Fucking, where we just talk about dogs fucking dogs.
So this was us kind of giving a little short view of our just to reminisce about the Friday the 13th franchise as a whole. Jason Voorhees, why it's such an affecting character for us. It was just nice to just kind of talk about it and get us in the mood, and maybe for you, get you in the mood to have that Friday the 13th marathon tonight or this weekend to kind of enjoy Jason and all his glory. Robbie, I'll hand over to you to wrap us up.
Well, we hope that you enjoyed our little special bonus Friday the 13th October celebrating the big guy himself episode. I believe that's what you're going to call it. You're going to give it a very elaborate title like that. Come and let us know your favorite Friday the 13th kills and moments, and your order or your guilty pleasure, the one you think is best. Let us know what Friday the 13th you're watching tonight. We are on Twitter and Instagram at CMTH Podcast. And as always, if you've enjoyed the show, please hit that subscribe button and leave us a lovely review. I hear some rustling in the bushes around our camp. Oh no, Jason's got us. Goodbye. We'll see you next week. Don't kill us, Jason. No!